Most students had already disappeared into the weekend, their chatter and footsteps fading with the setting sun. But Hannah remained, 19, bright-eyed, and stubbornly curious. She sat alone in the corner of the sociology department's reading room. Her fingers twitched nervously over the spine of her notebook, flipping back and forth between pages of highlighted questions she still didn't understand. Across the hallway, behind a half-open office door, Professor Mei Lin adjusted her glasses and checked her watch. 39. Composed. Brilliant. With a reputation for being fair but intense, she wasn't the type of lecturer students chatted with casually. But she had noticed Hannah from the first week. The way the young woman sat upright during lectures, scribbling notes furiously, always wearing that oversized oatmeal sweater like armor, always trying just a little too hard to seem invisible. Mei Lin saw her, really saw her. That afternoon when Hannah knocked lightly on her door, eyes avoiding direct contact, voice barely above a whisper, Mei Lin looked up and smiled. "I was wondering if you had a minute to go over my paper comments," Hannah said. "Of course," Mei Lin replied, stepping aside. "Come in. Close the door behind you." The air inside her office smelled like peppermint tea and old books. Shelves lined with journals and artifacts, a soft lamp glowing in the corner, a carefully maintained bonsai by the window. It didn't feel like an academic space. It felt like a sanctuary. Mei Lin gestured to the chair across from her, and Hannah sat down, clutching her papers like a lifeline. As they began to talk first about theories of social identity, then about the personal biases we carry, something shifted. It wasn't just the heat of the radiator humming beneath their feet, or the silence of the campus outside. It was the way Hannah's eyes widened when Mei Lin gently challenged her. The way Mei Lin leaned closer, brushing her finger over a particular paragraph to point something out, unaware of how Hannah's breath caught in her throat at the proximity. "You think a lot for someone so young," Mei Lin said quietly. I think too much, maybe." "No." Mei Lin smiled, a rare softness in her usually stern face. "You feel a lot. There's a difference." Hannah blinked. Nobody ever said that to her. Not her parents, not her high school teachers, not her friends. She felt like she'd just been seen naked intellectually, emotionally. That day turned into a second meeting the following week. Then a third. Officially, they were reviewing readings and improving argument clarity. But Hannah started dressing differently. A little lipstick, her hair tied up. Mei Lin started leaving the door just barely open, not out of professionalism, but out of fear. Of how the silence behind a closed door might lead to something they both weren't ready to name. Still, boundaries blurred. On the third Friday, Hannah arrived during the last storm of October. Drenched from the rain, sweater clinging to her frame, cheeks flushed from the cold. Mei Lin handed her a towel and made her tea, and neither of them said anything for a while. "You should dry your clothes by the heater," Mei Lin murmured, her voice low. "I won't look." Hannah hesitated. Then, with a shy glance and trembling fingers, she pulled the damp sweater over her head. Mei Lin turned away, staring at the window, heart racing. "I like your lectures," Hannah said softly behind her. "But I like this more." "This?" Mei Lin asked, not turning around. "Being here, with you." The silence between them thickened. "Hannah," Mei Lin finally said, her tone tight with restraint. "This isn't appropriate. I'm your professor." "I'm 19. "That doesn't make this simple." "I don't want it to be simple," Hannah whispered. "I want it to be real." Mei Lin turned then, slowly, Her eyes scanned the girl standing there in her undershirt and jeans, hair dripping, lips parted slightly from nerves. She looked older than her age in that moment, not in years, but in bravery. Their eyes locked, neither moved, and then, as if pulled by a current too strong to fight, Mei Lin stepped forward. "Hannah!" She reached out. Her fingers brushed a raindrop from the girl's jaw. Hannah leaned in. The kiss wasn't desperate. It wasn't wild. It was careful. Like a line they both knew they were crossing but didn't want to erase. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, something else began. The first kiss hadn't been planned, but once it happened, neither of them could stop thinking about it. Mei Lin barely slept that night. She stared at her bedroom ceiling, replaying the warmth of Hannah's lips, the quiet gasp that escaped between them. She kept telling herself it was a mistake, an indulgence, a moment of weakness. But the way Hannah had looked at her like she was something precious, something wanted it chipped away at her carefully built walls. Hannah, meanwhile, lay curled under her blanket, clutching her phone, thumb hovering over Mei Lin's contact. No message, just the quiet ache of wanting. The memory of that touch made her toes curl under the sheets. The next Monday in class, they didn't speak. Mei Lin walked in, her hair tied back, heels clicking with practiced distance. She avoided eye contact. She discussed Marxist theory like her heart hadn't leapt into her throat the moment Hannah entered the room. But Hannah saw it. The way her lecturer's hands trembled slightly when writing on the board. The flicker in her gaze when their eyes almost met. After class, the other students filed out. Hannah remained seated, heart pounding. Mei Lin didn't turn around. "Hannah, I don't think we should continue the private sessions." "Because of the kiss?" "It was inappropriate. I didn't feel like it was." "That's exactly the problem." A pause, the air between them thick with unsaid things. Hannah stood. "I'm not a child. And you're not just a professor to me." Mei Lin turned slowly. Her face was calm, but her voice betrayed her restraint. "I have worked my entire life to be taken seriously in this field. As a woman, as an Asian woman, every step I've taken has been careful, deliberate. One mistake, and it all crumbles. I would never be your mistake. Maybe not, but I would be mine." Hannah's lips trembled, but she nodded, swallowing the sting. "Okay." She turned to leave but paused at the door. "For what it's worth, you made me feel seen. Like I wasn't just another face in your classroom. I won't forget that." Mei Lin said nothing. 2 weeks passed. Cold, silent, aching weeks. They didn't speak. Mei Lin buried herself in research. Hannah stopped raising her hand in class. The spark between them had been buried, but it still smoldered. It wasn't until the university's winter social gala that fate forced them together again. Hannah hadn't planned to go, but her best friend had begged her, and truthfully, she'd needed a distraction. She wore a deep green velvet dress that hugged her figure in all the right ways. Her hair pinned up loosely, lips painted a daring plum. Mei Lin had also resisted attending. But as faculty, she had little choice. She wore a high-collared black satin blouse, tucked into a long flowing skirt. Elegant, commanding, alone. The moment they spotted each other across the ballroom, everything else faded. Mei Lin's breath hitched. Hannah smiled soft, bittersweet. Hours passed. They avoided each other, circled, mingled, until Hannah slipped quietly out onto the balcony, breath visible in the winter air. A few moments later, Mei Lin followed. "Cold out here," she said softly. "I needed air." Silence stretched between them. "I shouldn't be here," Mei Lin whispered. "And yet you are. You haunt me, Hannah." Hannah's eyes searched hers. "Then stop running." Mei Lin stepped closer. Her gloved fingers brushed Hannah's bare hand. "Do you know what people would say? What this could cost me? Do you know what not having you is already costing me?" The words weren't desperate. They were honest. Raw. Mei Lin exhaled shakily. "You're 19. I've lived twice as much life. Then maybe you'll understand when I say I don't want safe. I want real." Their hands intertwined. This time, when they kissed, it wasn't in the shadows of an office or in the heat of a moment. It was under the moonlight, with violins playing faintly behind them, and the world still spinning despite the rules they'd broken. "I want to know you outside of the classroom," Hannah whispered against her lips. "And I want to stop pretending I don't feel this," Mei Lin confessed. They both knew what came next wouldn't be easy, but as their fingers locked tighter, it became clear they were already past the point of return. At 9:37 p.m., her phone buzzed. "Mei Lin. Can you come over? I need to see you. No more hiding." The address followed. It wasn't far off campus, near the river, where professors lived in neat little homes behind hedges. Hannah threw on her coat and ran through the cold, barely feeling the wind biting her face. When she arrived, Mei Lin was already waiting at the door. Her hair was loose, her face softer, tired, stripped of her academic armor. "I thought I scared you away," Hannah breathed. "You didn't scare me," Mei Lin said, stepping aside. "You made me feel again." Her house was quiet, clean, minimal, a life arranged with order. But in the living room, on a side table, sat something Hannah didn't expect: her essay from the first private session. Dog-eared, still underlined. "I kept reading it," Mei Lin said, noticing her glance. "Because you wrote about isolation like someone who had lived it." "I had," Hannah said. "Until you." They didn't rush. That night unfolded like a slow confession. Mei Lin made tea, poured it into mismatched mugs, and sat beside Hannah on the couch, their thighs barely touching. "I've spent so long being the perfect academic," she admitted. "Never the one who breaks rules, never the one who lets go. I don't even know how to want something without guilt anymore." "I don't want perfect," Hannah whispered. "I just want you." Their fingers touched. The kiss came slowly, an ache blooming between them. Then mouths parting, breathing deep, hands trembling. When Mei Lin reached for Hannah's face and pulled her gently into her lap, the years between them vanished. What mattered was the way they held each other like salvation. Later, in the bedroom, candles flickering low, they undressed wordlessly. Mei Lin took her time, as if learning every inch of Hannah's skin was an act of reverence. Hannah's nerves gave way to fire. The way Mei Lin's mouth traced her collarbone, the way her hands gripped her waist, it was a language no lecture could ever teach. They made love like two women claiming back something long denied: softness, trust, intensity. Afterward, tangled in sheets, Hannah rested her head against Mei Lin's bare shoulder. "What happens now?" she asked. "We be careful," Mei Lin said. "But we don't pretend it didn't happen. I won't do that to you." Weeks passed. They met in quiet corners, shared books, shared long glances in the hallway when no one was looking. Every private lecture turned into something more, an intellectual dance that always ended in whispers and hidden smiles. It wasn't just lust. It wasn't a phase. It was slow-burning love that grew louder in silence. Spring arrived, and with it, the university's faculty board requested a meeting with Mei Lin. A student had seen Hannah leaving her house early one morning and raised questions. Rumors traveled fast. Mei Lin stood tall, denied nothing, but refused to let Hannah be dragged into it. Later that night, Mei Lin sat on the edge of her bed, head in her hands. "I might lose everything," she said. "You still have me," Hannah whispered, kneeling beside her. "That might not be enough." "It is for me,"